With the opening of the Project Pride, we invite you to travel together with us through cities and countries of the world to meet Kazakhstan people there, learn more about their life. We will go on a visit, we will plunge into their work, we will walk to their favorite corners of the cities they live in. But the main thing is that we set out on a journey to be inspired by their success. After all, the heroes of our program are bright and interesting people, and every story, every acquaintance is a swirl of impressions. Today in the Pride program, Music and Muse by Dyisen, Kaseinov. The personality whom we will be talking about today is a famous music enthusiast and specialist. Music is his fate and destiny. These two elements go hand in hand through life, and sometimes it's hard to answer the question of what shapes our lives, fate or destiny. Dyisen Kaseinov, the hero of the Pride program today, has dedicated his whole life in music. It started when he was living in Kazakhstan and continues on now as he lives far from his homeland. Our meeting with him took place in Ankara. From the first minute of meeting, it became clear that this is already fated. Dyisen Kaseinov was born in 1947 in Biysk, Altai Territory. In 1961, he entered the Timbet-Karaganda Music School. In 1965, he entered Kurmangazi Almaty State Conservatory. From 1987 to 1997, he worked as director of Kurmangazi Almaty State Conservatory. In 1997, Professor Dyisen Kaseinov was the chairman of the Culture Committee of the Ministry of Education, Culture and Health of the Republic of Kazakhstan. In 2003, Dyisen Kaseinov headed the Ministry of Culture of the Republic, and in 2004-2005 served as an ambassador at large of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Since 2008 to this day, the famous musician Professor Dyisen Kaseinov is the Secretary General of the International Organization of Turkey Culture, Turksoy. It so happened that all the members in the Kaseinov family are engaged in music, both the old and young generations. It is also quite natural that their inner circle of friends are people from the music industry, performers, vocalists, and composers. Dyisen and his wife Alexandra Kaseinova raised two daughters, Dana and Dinara. Their daughters blessed them with grandchildren. No one in the family has strayed from the family tradition. The dynasty of music continues. Our mother has always believed that music has the magic to develop a person. She always used to say, it is necessary to be involved in music, but she did not force anyone to be into music. She used to encourage us to do it for ourselves. She said, you take physics class, but you do not become physicist, right? So why not engage in music? It is interesting to know that the interest in music for this family began with Dyisen. He didn't come from an artistic family. His father saw him as a military man instead, while his mother dreamed that her son would become an engineer. But fate decided otherwise. It brought the family of Kaseinov to Karaganda, where Dyisen met many creative and intelligent people. Most of them were exiles from all over Soviet Union who escaped the harsh ideology to the city. There in Karaganda, Dyisen saw his neighbor's daughter, often going to music classes. He told his father that he always wanted to attend and try himself in the music school. In the end, the young man had not only met with music, but also with the muse. At the school, he met his future wife, Alexandra, whom he called Shura. They met at a dance at the music school. It was 1960. My father was 13, my mother was 14 years old. As best students in the school, they were able to attend the New Year's ball. And I don't know, Dad has been saying that at first he did not have plans to invite a girl to the dance. But it was necessary for him to help a friend, because the friend wanted to invite a girl to dance. There were two girls standing together. It was my mother and her friend Tsilia. Tsilia was invited by my father's friend, and my father invited our mother, and they danced to Kalmakovsky music Silence, as what father had told us. From then, their friendship began. As soon as they met, Dyisen and Shura had never parted. Together, they graduated from the music school and started university life together. The couple had the same plans as they decided to go to Almaty and enter the music conservatory. Dyisen and Alexandra shared the same dreams, aspirations, notes, and lines. The young couple fell in love with the hospitable southern city at first sight and soon got married in 1967. Neither the lack of money for a wedding nor the modest living condition in a detached house with a stove but without running water could stand in the way of the young family and prevent them from love and harmonious life. Our father has a phrase, "I was luckier than others because my first love was always by my side." Our father was both persistent and gallant and very attentive to success even when he was a student. On his creative side, he was trying to conquer mom's heart, and he succeeded. By profession, Alexandra Kaseinova was a pianist, but her real talent was something more than just music. It was her who became the heart and guardian of the family, and she created a warm home for relatives, friends, and associates who often came to visit. Shura created a special universe and became an attractive and warm son. The apartment on P Street 50, which the young family received from the conservatory, became well known among the Almaty musicians and creative intellectuals. Tales about how they could come and knock on the window of the apartment in the middle of the night was told by the respected actors, members of the A-Studio, Jibek band, and world-class stars who lived in the Kurmangazi Conservatory. Guests of the Kaseinov apartments include Bulat Ayukhanov, Alibek Nishev, Nikolai Petrov, Aida Isakova, Vladimir Spivakov. It was in that apartment where young Baigali Serkebayev and Batarkhan Shukenov recorded music at night on tapes that could not be found and heard anywhere else. The house of the head of the conservatory, Dyisen Kurabayevich, was remembered by many as it was open to students and visitors to come by. The door of the house of Shura and Dyisen was always open to everyone. They were not rich. Sometimes there were not enough chairs or plates for the guests, and they had to borrow utensils from neighbors. In turn, neighbors thanked them for the opportunity to listen to the magical voice of Alibek Nishev at night. I remember Rinat Salavatov came to the house and said, "Shura, listen, I've written this." Tles Kashgaliyev came to tell about his plans and new projects. It's true. Our home was a place where someone stayed to spend the night, or someone needed just a snack, or someone wanted to take a shower. It really was a place where everyone was always welcomed. Our father is a person who knows how to be a friend and carries his friendship throughout his life. There are people with whom he is still friends with. These are those who he studied together at school and in the conservatory, and our mother was good in supporting this. As his beloved wife, mother, and grandmother have not been around for a year, Dyisen devoted his time to help and support the works of music as well as to friends, children, and grandchildren. In his 70s, this unique person continues to be strict to himself. His whole life is connected to music and culture. As the General Secretary of the International Organization of Turkic Culture, Turksoy, the honorable mission was given to Kaseinov by Polada Bulbul Ogli. He organizes spectacular festivals, concerts, and exhibitions. At his initiative, the Turkic Choir and the Turkic Orchestra were created, each unique in its own way, as it is made of participants from 4 Turkic countries: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, and Turkey. The organization is based in Ankara, and it is worth noting that this organization was created at the initiative of the president of our country. The goal of the initiative is to preserve and expand the culture of the Turkic people, making it accessible to the world. For example, in the Turkish capital, several monuments and squares with the names of Kazakhstani cultural and art figures were opened. The mayor of the Etimesgut municipality of Ankara City, Enver Demirey, has been cooperating on this project with Dyisen Kaseinov for more than a year. Enver supported the idea of mutual preservation of our country's cultural heritage and supports Dyisen in every possible way. The result of their cooperation, for example, is 2 thematic gardens decorated in the face of the Turkish capital. One of them bears the name of people's composer of Kazakhstan, famous Dina Nurpeisafa, while the second, the Tibet Park. It was opened for the 200th anniversary of the birth of Akın. I consider this park a small Kazakh land in Turkey because it is named after our compatriot. Well, as they say, good intentions are half the battle. Look, we want to erect the monument here to commemorate an outstanding Kazakh performer. When we will finish it, it will look nice. Maybe it will be between the bushes. It will be nice. Children can play here, people can walk. In the summer, they can drink tea. On October 3, 2017, Ankara celebrated the 25th anniversary of Turkey's diplomatic relations with several countries including Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Ukraine. Turkey's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kafusoglu, expressed special gratitude to Dyisen Kaseinov for his service to the Turkic community around the world and awarded him the Turksoy Secretary General with a medal for high merit from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Turkey. Dyisen notes that from the very first day of his tenure as Secretary General of the international organization, he has received the full support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Culture and Tourism of Turkey. This support is expressed not only in words but in real actions and projects, and comes not only from the government, but, which is especially valuable, from the people of Turkey. Dyisen Kaseinov has a lot of successfully implemented projects under his belt. He was very human and open. Dyisen welcomes guests who comes to Ankara. He talks about the city where he lives now with great interest, and he shows his favorite corners in the Turkish capital and shares his life. Ankara is generally a comfortable city. For example, the hot and humid climate of Istanbul in the summer drives everyone away to the countryside. But the capital's climate is a little bit different. The area where we live is located slightly above the center. There is a forest on the left part of the city. And there is always a cool breeze in the evening. There is also less traffic. It's very different from Istanbul. Dyisen Kaseinov has many stories and memories to share. Fate has not deprived him from interesting events and unique acquaintances. Listening to him, I want to observe every word, especially since you can learn a lot from such a person. A weak human being is surrounded with great temptation. People used to ask me when I was a rector at the conservatory, do I try to scare my students? Are they afraid of me? I always said, in my opinion, they're not afraid, and I don't want them to be afraid. Is it a good idea to try to bring up young people in fear? I don't think so, because fear never brings out good things in people. Some scientists believe that a person does not age mentally, but instead, he acquires new skills and knowledge as he ages. Dyisen Kaseinov seemed to confirm that theory. He made his own choice to remain young forever instead of seeing his life experiences as a burden. Dyisen Kurabayevich is mature for his years and young in his spirit. Possessing vast knowledge and experiences, he continues to improve and grow. He speaks 6 languages: Russian, Kazakh, Turkish, Spanish, English, and Italian. Kaseinov compares his love for Italy to his love for music, because in Italy, everything is related to music. For him, Italy is associated with music, the brightest artists, great festivals, and of course, France. Among Dysein's Italian friends are Tonino Guerra and Michele Placido. Our hero can easily communicate not only with Italians, but other nationalities as well. It is a sin not to communicate with others because there are many means to keep in touch with people you love. Greetings can be sent from so many devices. You can suddenly receive a letter, or an expected call, or an unexpected text message. His daughter, Dinara Kaseinova, talks about his great ability to find a common ground with anyone.
У папы это совершенно потрясающее.
Our father has an absolutely amazing ability to meet and keep in touch with people. He has a lot of friends with whom he maintains relationships all his life.
У папы сохранены контакты.
He keeps in touch with people with whom he studied at school and at music school. 2 years ago, for example, he spent his vacation with our mother at his classmates' house in France. He keeps in touch with them all.
Со всеми с ними поддерживает связь. Ведь это колоссально.
I believe it requires a great investment of personal time and emotions, because he's not just a friend, you know. He knows so many things about their life and about their family. He knows the names of their children, the names of their parents, their grandchildren. It's amazing. I don't know anyone who's like that.
Совершенно, ну, я не знаю, таких людей нет.
Where do creative ideas come from? Sometimes insane, sometimes brilliant. What makes one amazing thought became an eternal, unfulfilled dream, and another, an idea capable of capturing others, turning into a staggering fruit of common effort. Kaseinov has nurtured the idea of building creative villages for musicians for a long time, a place where they could create masterpieces among the beautiful landscapes far from the bustling city. Imagine great composers living in the houses. How about that? I could not imagine that I would be visiting the composer Yerkegali Rakhmadiyev here in Turkey, in a picturesque place called Siben. The Turksoy organization has built a real creative village, where each of the houses is named after one of the outstanding composers of the Turkic-speaking world. We'll go to the house of Yerkegali Rakhmadiyev. There was a grand opening with the flags of Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan and many others. At the moment, we only have the portraits and the inscription on the house. Gradually, we plan to put some materials about these composers, some books about them, and their records. This is a cultural integration. Yes, we want to provide music records that people could listen to and at the same time learn something new and discover the music of composer. The first visitor of the village were well-known composers together with young people. It's even better and it's even more interesting to them. When we welcomed the second group of visitors, among them were Yeremia Likhachova from Azerbaijan, who is also a very young composer, and Alsu Singatulina, both of them at the same age, around 30 years old. Here, Yerkegali Rakhmadiyev. Yes, here we are visiting Yerkegali Rakhmadiyev, quite unexpectedly, in Turkey. It is remarkable that Turksoy provides musical life for the works created here by the musicians who came to visit such creative villages. This great idea was realized because of a great initiative of this organization. I entered the conservatory when he was the rector. And of course, we kept in touch until the end of his life. He was my life teacher, my spiritual instructor. And now his students come here to visit and to live here. By the way, Beybut Daldenbayev lived here too. And what did he think of all this? Oh well, he was delighted. They were all happy to see each other. Kaseinov is very outgoing, and he never ceases to be amazed at the greatest gift of human communication. The life in the big cities consumes us, and we often don't have time for friendly meetings and sincere conversations. It is painful to realize that friends of youth, wonderful musicians who played a few strings together with their musical instruments, don't get to see each other often, sometimes meeting once every 10, 20 years.
На меня это такое произвело впечатление. Я задумался, что же сделать.
When I thought about it, I was so appalled, and I thought, what can I do to get them together?
Собрал в Алмате, потом в Астане.
Then I gathered them in Almaty, then in Astana, where we held concerts, Then we all met in Bishkek.
Мы снова вошли в ту же колею, а с тех пор уже
And so gradually it created a pattern. Since then, other composers joined us. And as a continuation, this spring we held the concert of women composers of the Turkic world. They participated at the opening of the Creative Village.
эту творческую деревню. Это меня сразу захватило.
The idea immediately captured me. This was the place to do it, because it's like the holy mountain of Nauruz. And Turksoy promotes Nauruz all over the world. You know about that, of course.
Во всем мире, вы об этом знаете, да? Мы уже в Европе.
We already celebrated Nauruz in Europe and in Germany and in Austria. Every year we change places. This year we celebrated in Constanzi, Bucharest, Kishinev, and Comrade.
Кишинев и Комрад.
And this is another aspect of Turksoy's work. This organization promotes the values of the Turkic world in Europe and America, uniting the efforts of cultural and art figures from different countries. Today, Turksoy is something like UNESCO of the Turkic world. The organization has a tradition to celebrate all birthdays of official representatives, other employees of Turksoy, members of their families, thanks to Dyisen. They encourage respect to each other's holidays, customs, and traditions. Turksoy is a place where every employee has an excellent opportunity to gain experience in management, establish contacts with people, and create international cultural ties. For Dyisen Kaseinov, it's very important that all cultures of Turkic people were represented in equal measure at any event of Turksoy. No one was forgotten, including small Turkic nations. The promotion of the heritage of Altains, Hakas, Tuvinians, Yakuts, Gagauzians, and other ethnic groups to the world will only make the Turks strong. By the way, Kyrgyzstan didn't participate in the organization until Dyisen Kaseinov became the leader of the Turksoy. After Dyisen Kaseinov's meeting with the president of Kyrgyzstan, a representative of this country was sent to the organization. The aura here is special. You can learn the cultures of different nations, and it's great. We're all united with one common language, music. We all became friends and we learned to hear each other. We need to do this in order not to let our elders down. We sing, we have a good time, we enjoy spending time together. We all joke around with each other, we understand each other. We enjoy singing together. No one takes offense. Every year, everything changes. It changes, and for the better. It seems to me that any Kazakh feels comfortable everywhere. Kazakhs seem to adapt everywhere. And most of all, I love Kazakh music. I adore Kazakh folklore in general. Dyisen Kaseinov has both excellent organizational and managerial skills, quite a rare combination in the creative sphere. Back in the day when he was a teacher at the Kurmangazi Conservatory, Gaziza Zhubanova, who was the rector at the time, invited him to her place. She told him an exciting news. Mexico was creating its presidential orchestra in Mexico City. They were in need of violinists and cellists. The president of Mexico asked the Soviet government to help them with young talents. Gaziza Akhmetovna offered Dyisen Kaseinov to take part in the contest, without doubting that he was a worthy candidate. The Kaseinov family found themselves in Mexico, where they lived for 3 years. These years were incredibly rich with creativity and work. Almost every week, Mexico City was visited by the world-famous conductors. Together with the orchestra, Dyisen visited 30 countries, played at Carnegie Hall and many other prestigious concert halls, from Argentina to Japan. This musical journey taught him how to quickly pack his things and go on the road. Who knows, maybe it was then that he developed his ability to concentrate instantly on top priority tasks and quickly put everything in order.
В числе
The fact that he, together with a group of Soviet orchestra members, got into this orchestra allowed him to really expand his horizons and his circle of acquaintances. This really opened the world to him because, well, it was 1976 and the Soviet Union, and they were lucky to travel abroad to work. He managed to work there with Leonardo Bernstein. As part of the orchestra, he traveled the whole world.
Леонардом Бернстайном, он в составе оркестра, он объездил весь мир.
Dyisen Kaseinov was the first Kazakh musician to play on the Carnegie Hall stage. After some time, he was the one who made the performance of the Kurmangazi Orchestra and chamber ensemble of Ayman Musakhajaeva possible. They performed music written by the Kazakh composers.
Организовать это одно,
To
посадить
organize is one thing, to create conditions for rehearsals and so on, but to take them on the road, very few people take on such a responsibility.
постоянную работу по сей день. Эти все постановки,
He is doing this huge work to this day.
актерские,
He organizes all the performances of the musicians from Turkic countries, the opera Kuragli, with which they have already traveled to many, many countries and cities around the world. These are the things that he brings to a new qualitative level.
новый качественный уровень выводит.
Wisdom, patriotism, life experience, and cherishing attitude to his roots, a wonderful combination. But to know what is valuable in theory and to follow the principles of the ancestors in practice is not the same thing.
Полюбить весь мир. Попробуй полюбить соседей.
It's easy to love the whole world, but first try to love your neighbors. That's what our parents did.
Соседей, которые рядом, с людей, которые к тебе в дом приходят.
Start with the family, start with relatives, neighbors who are nearby, with people who come to your house,
Семье,
because everything starts from a small thing.
к детям,
This is patriotism. It comes from the family.
объединить вот эти два начала.
Attitude to the family, to a mother, to a wife, to girls. Our mother managed to unite these two principles, the wisdom of the Slavic people and spirituality. At the age of 21, she took our father's name and was always not shoulder to shoulder, but a little bit behind him.
А чуть позади.
In 2007, relatives and friends made a present to a 60-year-old Dyisen Kaseinov. They released a book about his life and work called Score of Fate. It contains unique photos, stories from life, original and amusing characteristics of Dyisen written by the legendary personalities of culture of Kazakhstan and the world. 10 years later, Dyisen did not celebrate his birthday. This year, the head of the family, friends, children, and grandchildren organized a concert at the Kurmangazi Conservatory dedicated to the memory of Alexandra Kaseinova. The granddaughters, Amina, Aliya, Aisha Mashkeevs, grandsons, Alikhan Mashkeev, and Nicholas Kaseinov, friends with colleagues Nagima Iskalieva, Gersh Geller, Arkady Sevidov, Dmitry Khokhlov, Zhenya Bakirova, and other loving friends shared their creativity and memories about this amazing woman.
Сегодня было очень волнительно выступать на сцене, потому что прошло ровно год с тех.
It was very exciting to perform on stage today. It has been a year since those memorable events. It was very difficult to pull myself together, to get in the right mindset, but I think it all worked out, and Grandma would have liked it.
Я думаю, что все получилось, и думаю, бабушке бы понравилось. Мое детство было превосходным. Вот я когда общаюсь со своим
My childhood was excellent.
такой.
When I talk to my friends, I understand that it was just me. Of course, it might sound as if I'm bragging, but it's true. Because my parents, my grandparents, in particular Dyisen and Alexandra Kaseinovs, they filled my childhood with incredible beauty,
Невероятной красотой,
very music, the atmosphere of music, and just incredible goodness, love and care.
невероятным добром, любовью, заботой.
It's hard to describe how close we are with my grandfather and how close we were with my grandmother.
У него для каждого из 6 внуков и
For each of the 6 grandchildren, for us with my sister, and for his son-in-laws and in-laws, there is always time and place.
время и место.
Youth is not always wise and clever. A lot is, of course, on the shoulders of the older generation. And we were lucky that our mom and dad were a great support for us.
Повезло, что у нас старшие именно такие, как мама с папой.
Dyisen Kaseinov believes that a constant cycle of affairs, worries, troubles is a blessed thing. After all, not everyone is gifted with such knowledge, experience, wisdom, talent, and kindness. And Dyisen Kaseinov is the person who is ready to share it with everyone. When I was listening to him, I wanted to observe every word, to learn something new, at least during our brief acquaintance. This year in Karaganda, another name appeared on the Walk of Fame, five-pointed star. Pythagoras claimed that such a star has a golden section. For a man like Dyisen Kaseinov, this is a deserved award. Among other awards, this one is especially dear to his heart, because it will always remind our hero of his native city and the city about its beautiful compatriot.